Good morning, everybody. This is Steve from the Worley Bugger. It is May 7th, 2025. I'm here just above the upper bridge hole in the Farmlands. And the river is in beautiful condition for May. Unbelievable. So Mother's Day right around the corner this Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to my beautiful mother, my beautiful wife, and all the other mothers out there. Typically this time of year the river is choked out with water. We are in the midst of big spring runoff. Not a lot of times that we get to fish the famous Mother's Day Caddis hatch on the Yakima, but this year, quite different. River is unseasonably low, gin clear, and a little bit of cloud cover today, but the last few days it's been bright and sunny, and lots of confused fishermen coming into the pro shop, seeing all these caddis and no rising fish. So just a little history lesson here. Several hundred years ago in the chalk streams of England, a famous book was written called The Complete Angler by Sir Isaac Walton, and they were perplexed about the same reason. They seen caddis flies, billions on the water, not a trout rising anywhere to eat them. So he wrote in his book at that time that caddis flies must not be an important food form to trout. Well, spin ahead several hundred years, and enter a man named Gary LaFontaine. So after reading that, he thought that was just a maybe ridiculous statement. So he set out to prove that theory wrong. And in the 70s and early 80s, he dove underneath the water 71 times in the rivers of Montana, mainly the Big Hole River. And he watched caddis flies hatching and what was happening underneath the water, what the trout were doing. And he discovered a lot of things. And he wrote them down and published it in his book called Caddis Flies. If you haven't read it, you're new to fly fishing, I would jump on the internet and I would buy that book, because it is no longer in publication, but you can still find it in bookstores across the country. And you will learn a lot about caddisfly hatches and what he witnessed underneath the water. So you pull open the caddisfly drawer at the Worley Bugger. We have 2 drawers of caddis flies. I don't know, probably a couple hundred different patterns. Most of those flies are all based on flies that he designed back in the 70s and 80s that have kind of lost favor with new fly fishermen especially, because they're just not up to speed on the history of the sport and all these great people that came before us, you know, and figured out these equations and wrote them down in magnificent books like Caddis Flies and Dry Flies. I mean, I you know, have all of his books. So it's good to do your research. You know, don't scratch your head and puzzle and be like an Englishman and figure that that you can see, like, I don't know if you can see, but there's hundreds of caddis on the flying above the water. Those all came from the river. So just to think that fish are just sitting underneath the current of the river and not feeding is absurd. The fish do. Fish eat, they spawn, and then they eat some more. Besides caddis flies, big smorgasbord still of food happening. Salmon flies still around in places, especially in sections of the upper Yakima. March browns still happening in the afternoon, although starting to fade out in places, but still count on them, especially through the farmlands and the upper river. But what it's going to be for the next couple of weeks, caddis flies, that's really going to be the main food source for fish. So good to do your homework. If you're a tyer, start tying up your pupas. Start tying up your adults for the evening. You know, and if you're fishing in the farmlands, we have 2 different species of rockworm in the farmlands area of the river. We have a green and we have a tan. There was a professor here at Central Washington University that during his tenure identified over 50 different types of caddis living in the Yakima River. Now, you don't have to sit and identify 50 different caddis flies like he did. But basically, if you have a light and a dark caddis in varying sizes, then you'll cover your base, as long as you have pupas, emergers, and adults. So, you know, we're in a drought year, probably worse than last year. Last year we were in a drought year, and this year definitely less water. The only thing that's really saving grace has been these cold nights. We're still having big temperature swings. Cold nights, warm days. So that's really keeping that high elevation snow intact and keeping it from burning off really quickly. So a lot of that is going to be slowly burning off, and filling up the reservoirs is just what we need. But I mean, if I had to look in my crystal ball and, you know, and tell you, you know, that August fishing is probably going to be, you know, it's probably going to be early morning fishing and getting off before the heat of the day again this year. I hope I'm wrong, but that's kind of what we are forecasting, Aaron and I. So if you have any further questions, like always, feel free to come by the pro shop, give us a call. If you want to get out for a day, still on the DL, but another 5-7 days and I'll finally be out and be out on the river. So if you'd like to get out for a day, give us a call. This week, unfortunately, we're not going to hear from Aaron Larson. He is vacationing, him and the family, in the Hawaiian Islands, which very well deserved for those two. I hope you guys have a fantastic time. Relax, soak up the sun, lay on the beach, and enjoy yourself, brother. Till then, everybody, have a good rest of your week, and we'll look forward to seeing you.